Welcome to Contact Pod. Today we're going to be diving deep into something pretty wild, the idea that smartphones might be on their way out.
Yeah, it's a bold prediction for sure.
Okay.
We're looking at this article from Indian Defense Review. It's called Mark Zuckerberg Announces the End Date of Mobile Phones and Unveils Their Replacement.
Okay, so right off the bat, Zuckerberg's claiming smartphones could be like mostly obsolete within, what, 10 years?
That's what he's saying, a decade. That's not really a lot of time when you think about how much we rely on these things.
No kidding. The article even points out that smartphones have been around for almost 30 years now. They started as simple phones and evolved into these like mini computers we basically live on.
Yeah, and that evolution is kind of the point. While smartphones were revolutionary, they've also led to some downsides, like that always-on feeling, and the bulkiness, and of course, all the screen time can get excessive.
Right. Some people argue that it's gone beyond just convenience at this point and we've become way too dependent on them. So where do smart glasses fit into all of this?
Well, the article highlights this quote from Zuckerberg about smart glasses offering a more natural and social computing experience.
So is that the big appeal? A less intrusive way to engage with tech?
I think that's a huge part of it. Think hands-free functionality, getting directions, checking notifications, all without taking your phone out.
So we could actually start to address all that tech fatigue everyone's talking about.
Potentially, yeah. By offering a less screen-dominant way to interact with information, it's like a more natural extension of ourselves.
Okay, so you're talking about that futuristic heads-up display type of thing, right? What some people call augmented reality.
Exactly. Not everyone might be familiar with that term, though.
Yeah, it's worth clarifying, I think.
Basically, augmented reality overlays digital information onto your real-world view. So you can be walking down the street and have information about nearby landmarks just pop up or see virtual notes attached to objects.
And smart glasses would be the perfect way to experience that.
They could be, yeah. It's not just about replacing the phone. It's about changing how we experience information entirely.
But is this all just hype? I mean, the article mentions companies like Meta and Apple investing heavily in smart glass tech.
Right. Apple's Vision Pro is a perfect example.
So those investments mean that the tech world actually sees potential here.
That's a safe bet. It's not just science fiction anymore. Companies are putting serious money behind this because they believe smart glasses could be the next big computing platform.
But can smart glasses really replace everything our smartphones do? Like, practically speaking, what does Zuckerberg actually envision for this transition?
Well, he believes that within the next decade, we'll see a pretty major shift. Smartphones might still exist for certain tasks, but smart glasses will become the go-to for most everyday use.
So instead of constantly pulling out our phones, we'll just be glancing at our glasses for quick updates or messages.
Exactly. It's about streamlining how we interact with the digital world, making it more seamless and integrated.
Okay, I could definitely see the appeal.
Yeah.
But if this really happens, how might it change things on a larger scale? Like how we communicate, how we consume information, even how we interact with the world around us.
That's the big question, isn't it? We could be talking about a massive societal shift, and the implications are huge. Like we touched on the idea of constant connectivity before. If these glasses are always on, always feeding us information, will we ever truly disconnect? Let's explore that further when we come back. We were just discussing how this shift from smartphones to smart glasses could have major societal implications. It's a bit mind-boggling, honestly.
We touched on the idea of constant connectivity before the break. These glasses are always on, always feeding us information. Will we ever truly disconnect?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. The always-on nature of smart glasses could further blur the lines between our personal and professional lives, making it even tougher to switch off and recharge.
So instead of feeling tethered to our phones, we'd be tethered to our glasses. Doesn't that just trade one form of tech fatigue for another?
It's a definite possibility. Some experts even suggest it could be more intense. With smartphones, we can at least put them away out of sight. But with smart glasses, that digital layer is always present, potentially leading to a more pervasive sense of being plugged in.
That brings up the question of digital well-being. How do we manage that in a world where tech is so seamlessly integrated into our lives via these glasses?
It's a challenge we'll need to navigate as a society. We might need to reevaluate our relationship with technology, focusing on mindful usage and setting clearer boundaries. It won't be easy, but it's essential for our mental health and overall well-being.
Shifting gears a bit, the article also mentions some potential benefits, things like real-time navigation, instant answers, and live updates. Those sound pretty appealing, especially if they streamline daily tasks.
The potential for increased efficiency is certainly there. Imagine walking into a store and having your shopping list appear right before your eyes, or getting turn-by-turn directions projected onto your actual view. It could revolutionize how we navigate the world and manage our tasks.
And what about the potential for education and training? The article didn't go into detail there, but it seems like smart glasses could offer some incredible opportunities.
Absolutely. Think about hands-on learning a mechanic, seeing step-by-step instructions overlaid onto the engine they're working on, or a surgeon getting real-time guidance during a complex procedure. It could transform how we acquire and apply knowledge.
Beyond the practical, what about social interactions? Could smart glasses actually enhance how we connect with others?
There's definitely potential there. Imagine real-time translation during conversations with people who speak different languages, or being able to quickly access information about someone's background and interests when you meet them for the first time.
It sounds like it could break down communication barriers and help us connect on a deeper level. But are there any potential downsides to these social applications?
Well, there's the issue of authenticity. If we're relying on technology to provide us with information about people, are we truly connecting with them as individuals or just with a curated version of themselves?
That's a good point. It makes you wonder if relying on this tech could actually hinder genuine human connection.
It's something to consider. And then, of course, there's the question of digital etiquette. We're going to need new social norms for using smart glasses in various situations.
Like, is it rude to glance at your glasses while someone is talking to you? Or what about recording conversations without someone's consent?
Exactly. These are all conversations we'll need to have as a society as this technology becomes more integrated into our lives.
So we've talked about the potential benefits and challenges for individuals, but what about the bigger picture? How might this shift impact industries and businesses?
That's a crucial area to consider. We could see entire industries transformed. Advertising, for instance, would need to find new ways to reach consumers who are no longer glued to their smartphone screens.
And what about healthcare? The article touched on the potential for real-time guidance during procedures, but surely there are broader implications.
Absolutely. Imagine doctors having access to patient records and diagnostic tools right in their field of vision, or therapists using augmented reality to create immersive therapeutic experiences. The possibilities are vast.
It sounds like a whole new digital economy could emerge, with new opportunities and challenges for businesses of all sizes.
Precisely. Companies will need to adapt quickly to this changing landscape, finding innovative ways to engage with consumers and deliver their products and services in a world where augmented reality is the norm. But it's not just about adapting, it's also about ensuring equal access to this new technology.
That's a key point. We touched on accessibility earlier, but it's especially crucial in the context of this potential societal shift. If smart glasses are going to replace smartphones, we need to ensure they're accessible to everyone, regardless of income or physical limitations.
You're absolutely right. We can't allow this transition to exacerbate existing inequalities or create new ones. We need to be mindful of affordability, accessibility for people with disabilities, and digital literacy for all.
So it seems there are many layers to this potential shift, individual, societal, and economic. And as with any major technological advancement, there are both exciting possibilities and valid concerns.
Exactly. It's a complex landscape, and navigating it will require careful consideration and ongoing dialogue.
Speaking of dialogue, I'm curious to get your take on something. The article didn't really address the potential for unintended consequences.
That's always a concern with any disruptive technology. It's impossible to predict every outcome, but we can certainly anticipate some potential challenges.
Like what? Give us an example of a potential unintended consequence that worries you.
Well, one concern is the potential for increased surveillance and data collection. If smart glasses are constantly recording our surroundings and tracking our movements, who has access to that information and how is it being used?
That's a big one. Yeah. It seems like privacy concerns could be amplified in a world where we're all wearing devices that are constantly capturing data.
Exactly. We need to have robust safeguards in place to protect individual privacy and prevent the misuse of this data.
It's a reminder that as we embrace the possibilities of new technologies, we also need to be vigilant about the potential risks.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance between innovation and responsibility.
So as we move towards this potential future where smart glasses are the dominant device, what are some key things we need to keep in mind?
Well, first and foremost, we need to prioritize digital well-being. We need to develop healthy habits and strategies for managing our tech consumption and protecting our mental health.
And we need to have open and honest conversations about the ethical and societal implications of this technology, like the privacy concerns we just discussed.
Precisely. We need to establish clear guidelines and regulations to ensure that smart glasses are used responsibly and ethically.
And of course, we need to ensure equitable access to this technology so that everyone can benefit from the potential opportunities it offers.
Absolutely. Accessibility, affordability, and digital literacy are crucial factors in ensuring that this technological transition is inclusive and benefits society as a whole.
It sounds like there's a lot to consider as we navigate this potential shift, but I think you've laid out some important points for us to ponder.
I hope so. This is a conversation that needs to continue as this technology evolves and becomes more prevalent in our lives.
So we've been exploring this idea of smart glasses potentially replacing smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty clear that this shift could have huge implications across the board.
Yeah, we're not just talking about a new gadget here. It's about fundamentally changing how we interact with the digital world and how that shapes society as a whole.
One area we haven't really dug into yet is the potential impact on different industries and businesses.
Mm.
I mean, if smart glasses become our primary interface with the digital world, that's going to turn things upside down.
For sure, imagine advertising. It wouldn't be about billboards or banner ads anymore. It would be about these virtual overlays seamlessly appearing in your field of vision. Marketing strategies would have to completely change.
Wow, that's wild. And what about fields like education and healthcare? We touched on some possibilities before, but I'm curious to go a bit deeper.
Well, in education, imagine students learning history by actually walking through ancient Rome virtually, or dissecting a frog in biology class, but it's a virtual frog, so no mess, no ethical considerations. The potential for immersive and engaging learning experiences is just massive.
It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Oh.
And what about healthcare?
Oh man, healthcare could be revolutionized. Imagine doctors having access to real-time patient data, drug interactions, even step-by-step guidance during procedures, all right there in their field of vision.
That's incredible. And what about telemedicine?
Oh yeah, telemedicine could be huge. Imagine a doctor being able to virtually examine a patient who's in a remote village somewhere, guided by real-time data and augmented reality overlays. It could completely change access to healthcare.
It really seems like we're on the verge of this whole new digital economy, one that's built around augmented reality and this seamless integration of information into our everyday lives.
Exactly, and that's going to create both opportunities and challenges for businesses. Companies that can adapt and innovate in this new landscape will thrive, while those who cling to the old ways might get left behind.
Speaking of challenges, I keep thinking about those potential unintended consequences. We talked about privacy concerns earlier, but what other risks do you see?
Well, one thing that worries me is information overload. If we're constantly being bombarded with notifications, updates, and virtual stimuli, it could lead to cognitive fatigue and make it harder to focus.
It's like the digital noise floor would just get amplified, making it even tougher to filter out what's really important.
Exactly. And then there's the whole issue of the digital divide. We need to make sure that this technology doesn't just make existing inequalities worse.
Right. If access to information and opportunities becomes increasingly tied to smart glasses, then the gap between those who have access and those who don't could get even wider.
And that's something we need to be proactive about addressing.
Yeah.
We need to promote digital literacy and ensure that everyone has affordable access to this technology.
So it's clear that this transition to a world where smart glasses are the dominant device isn't a simple thing. There's a lot of potential, but also a lot of potential pitfalls. We can't just rush into it blindly.
Definitely. We need to approach it carefully, thinking about the ethical, societal, and economic implications every step of the way.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the future of technology isn't set in stone. It's shaped by the choices we make today. As we stand on the brink of this potential shift, we have a responsibility to have these tough conversations, anticipate the challenges, and steer the development of this technology in a direction that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. This has been a fascinating look into the world of smart glasses and the potential end of the smartphone era. But as always, this is just the beginning of a much larger conversation.
Absolutely. This conversation needs to continue, and we want to hear your thoughts and perspectives too.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of ConTechPod. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the latest tech trends and their impact on our lives.
Until next time, stay curious.